For the function f of x equals 4x minus 9, determine whether f of x is 1 to 1. If so, A. Write an equation for the inverse function in the form of y equals f inverse of x. B. Graph f and f inverse on the same axes. And C. Give the domain and the range of f and f inverse. If the function is not 1 to 1, then say so. Okay, so the first thing is you want to be able to, for the function f of x, determine if it's 1 to 1. Well, if we take a look at this function, this is already a 1 to 1 function. Okay, now we want to be able to write the inverse of this function. So let's go ahead and do that. So when we want to find the inverse of the function, the first step is to replace f of x with y. So we know now that f of x is going to become y, which is equal to 4x minus 9. Now, step number 2, it says to interchange x and y. So now y is going to become x, and then this x is now going to become y, so that's x equals 4y minus 9. Now we're going to solve for y. So for solving for y, I'm just going to interchange this. I'm going to write 4y minus 9, and I'm going to let that equal x so that I can solve for y on the left side. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add 9 to both sides. So now we have 4y, which is equal to x plus 9. And then we're going to divide each term by 4. So therefore y is going to equal 1/4 x plus 9/4. And now in step 4, we're going to replace y with f inverse of x. So f inverse of x is going to equal 1/4 x plus 9/4. So let's go ahead and then answer our question. So we have 1/4 x plus 9/4. So we have the fraction 1/4 x plus 9/4. Check our answer, and there is our result. Now we want to be able to graph these. So we want to figure out which graph does this look like. So let's go ahead and graph this on Desmos. Okay, so we know that the first graph is given. So we're going to graph this on Desmos. All right, so the first graph, which is f of x, was equal to 4x minus 9. And then the inverse is 1/4 x plus 9/4. So you can see here that this is where they intersect at 3, 3. And you can see that this represents, so this is the inverse function, and this is the regular function. So let's take a look at which one this looks like. So it looks like, if we take a look here, this is 1, 2, 3, there's 3. So it looks like it's going to be A. Okay, now let's take a look at the function's graph. Okay, so when we look at the graph of these functions, okay, we want to figure out what is the domain of f of x, right? So we want to give the domain of f and f of x. So you can see here that this is a line. So the domain is going to be all real numbers, and this one is also going to be all real numbers. So the domain of f is going from negative infinity to positive infinity. And then the range is also the same. The range is any value for y is going to correspond to both of those graphs. So that means it's going to be from negative infinity to positive infinity. So that is the domain and range of the function f. Okay? Now if we take a look at the inverse function, it's going to be the same thing. The domain and the range are the same. So the domain of the inverse is negative infinity to comma infinity, and the range is negative infinity to comma infinity, and there is our answer.